Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area, the Daily Record, and the Morristown Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, I am pleased to welcome you to our Mendham Township Board of Education debate. My name is Zach Serban. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area and a freshman at Stanford University. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization, and therefore we never support or oppose political parties or candidates. Elections and voting are our core concerns, and empowering voters and defending democracy is our mission. We are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. Membership in the League is open to all genders, gender identities, and ages. We welcome volunteers whether or not you are a member. With 100 years of experience, the League is one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofit organizations. I'd like to welcome our co-sponsors for this debate, Angelica Allen McMillan of the Morristown Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, to say a few words.
Thank you and good evening. As stated, my name is Angelica Allen McMillan, and I'm a proud member of the Morristown Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. We provide an extensive array of public service initiatives through our 5-point programmatic thrust of economic development, educational development, physical and mental health, international awareness and involvement, as well as political awareness and involvement. Delta Sigma Theta was founded at Howard University and has been committed to service through social action since our founding in 1913. Our 22 founders participated in the suffrage march of 1913, just 2 months after establishing the sorority, and our members have been at the forefront of social and political struggles ever since. As part of our political awareness and involvement thrust, the Morristown Alumni Chapter is engaged in voter registration, education, and mobilization in Morris, Sussex, Warren, and Hunterdon counties. We would like to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to co-sponsor the Mendham Township Board of Education Forum along with the New Jersey Hills Media Group. And we look forward to a healthy discussion tonight among all of the candidates. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. Now I'd like to welcome Pat Robinson of the Daily Record.
Thank you, Zach. But to clear the record, I am Pat Robinson, and I am with the New Jersey Hills Media Group. And we are part of the Corporation for New Jersey Local Media. In fact, they own us. And the corporation seeks, along with the New Jersey Hills Media Group, seeks to build strong communities through journalism and civic engagement, which is why we are co-sponsoring tonight's event. We also seek to enhance civic engagement by promoting professional community journalism, fostering public discussion of critical issues, and expanding access to educational programs. Now, we are partnering with the League of Women Voters in these candidate forums to provide citizens with the opportunity to hear key issues and proposals by candidates during the election season so that they can have the information to make decisions based on information that is factual and practical. Doing this, we think, provides a basis for sound decision-making that will not only improve dialogue and consensus building when it comes to community decisions, but strengthens ways to effectively communicate and understand each other. So thank you again for having us.
Thank you, everyone. We encourage everyone to go to vote411.org, a one-stop site for information on all aspects of voting in New Jersey, including statements on the issues from your candidates. And please visit our website to learn more about the Morris Area League, www.morrisarealeague.org. Remember to make your vote count and vote in one of 3 ways. Vote by mail ballot if you signed up for that, early in-person voting using a voting machine from October 26th to November 3rd, or in-person voting on Tuesday, November 5th, Election Day. This forum is being live streamed on the Morris Area League of Women Voters YouTube channel and will be available there for viewing afterward. Other language captions will be available tomorrow on the recording. We encourage the sharing of the League's recording of this event in its entirety, but do not allow editing or making public any excerpts from the recording. The league name, logo, event recording, or any materials from the event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or reader to infer league support of or opposition to a candidacy. At this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, Joan Sturm. Joan is a league-trained moderator who is not from this voting district. She will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening.
Thank you, Zachary, our host tonight, coming to us all the way from Stanford University, where he's a freshman. We're so delighted to have you with us. And our co-sponsors, we would like to thank Angela Allen McMillan from the Delta Sigma Beta sorority and Pat Robinson from New Jersey's media group for the Observer Tribune for their assistance in helping make tonight possible. And of course, we want to welcome our Mendham Township viewers and voters for joining us tonight, live streaming on the event for this League of Women Voters Morris Area YouTube channel. More than anything, I want to thank the candidates for coming out tonight and being part of our candidate forum. And they're here virtually to answer some of all of your most pressing questions. So let's get on with it. I want to let you know that I'm pleased to be your moderator tonight, Joan Sturm. The purpose of the forum is dedicated to hearing these candidates' views. This is a forum devoted to hearing the views so that all of you in the township can understand what the views of the candidates for the Morris Township Board of Education, the Mendham Township Board of Education is. It is one of the League's primary responsibilities to ensure that voters are informed about who their candidates are, they're here tonight, and what their views and priorities are in a nonpartisan forum. So with that, I would like to now let you know that viewers had the opportunity to submit their questions online. They were reviewed by the League and the sponsors for length, clarity, and language. And we have Ariel, a League of Women Voters timer with us tonight. And so she will be displaying a 30-minute yellow sign and a stop red sign to let, there's your 30-second a warning yellow sign, and then a stop sign, which indicates that the candidate needs to just finish their sentence, and then it goes over to the next candidate who will be speaking. Now let's talk a little bit briefly about the format, which our candidates are all aware of. Each candidate will deliver a 2-minute opening statement. Each candidate will be organized for their opening and closing to start off in reverse alphabetical order, and then their closing in alphabetical order. Then after they all finish their 2-minute openings, we will then start with questions that I have. The candidates have not heard or seen those questions before. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question. They will get a 30-second warning and then a stop when the minute is over. The timekeeper, as you saw, will display the signs that you saw earlier. Candidates will finish their sentences, but not necessarily their entire thought. No run-on sentences, of course. We are adhering to the time limits strictly. After all the candidates have answered a particular question, if any one of them wants to do a rebuttal, they simply raise their hand and have an opportunity to do a 30-second rebuttal, which then opens up the floor for anyone else who would like to do a rebuttal. But everyone is not required or expected to do a rebuttal just because one person does. And many questions will have no rebuttal at all. Following the questions that we go through, and the way I've organized the questions is we have a special grid that the League of Women Voters uses to make sure that it's a fair amount of time, that everyone gets to answer first, second, third, and then fourth. So it's very random, and the only person who will know will be the person that I ask the question of first. They will know to be prepared to answer first, and then the others I will call on them. Following the Q&A session, each candidate will deliver a 2-minute closing statement, and they'll also get a 30-second warning. So we have right now the candidates, and I am going to be referring to them with their first name. And what I'm going to have them do is when they start their opening statement, just give their full name, which is also, for those of you who are watching, can see their name listed on the screen. But throughout the evening tonight, I will just use their first name. So we will start with Spencer. You will be going first, and you have a 2-minute opening statement, which the timer will start as soon as you utter your first word. Spencer.
Thank you. Good evening. I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight. I'm excited to be here. My name is Spencer A. Forrest. I'm running for the school board in Mendham Township because I believe that every child in our district should have high quality education that prepares them for success while ensuring that we as a community manage our resources appropriately. My daughter will be attending the school next year, so this is personal for me. I want to ensure that the schools provide the best possible education for all of our children in a safe and supportive environment. I also want to make sure that our district is focused on core academics, ensuring that every student has access to a bright future. I have an MBA in ethical leadership and extensive experience managing large-scale operations and budgets. So with this, I know how to make tough decisions while balancing financial responsibility with the need of our students in mind. My career has been built on transparency through the entire time I've started working. And I'll bring those same principles to the school board. I'm committed to making sure that with every dollar spent, it's spent wisely, so we can focus on improving educational outcomes without unnecessary costs or political distractions. My commitment to this district goes just beyond members and policies. I'm also deeply connected to the community. I'm a volunteer firefighter and a member of Brookside Engine Company, and I've been advocating for special needs students since I've been in high school. I believe in serving others and making differences in other people's lives. If elected, I do promise to prioritize financial stewardship, transparency, and the safety and well-being of every student that is there. I'm running because I want to see our schools succeed, not just only for my daughter, but for every child in this community. And together, we can do this and bring a bright future for our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. I'm sorry, I was trying to find my mute button. Thank you, Spencer. And with that, I'll now turn it over to Peter, who will have a 2-minute opening statements. And you can start whenever you're ready, Peter.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. Happy to be here. My name's Peter Dumovic. I'm a pharmaceutical consultant. I mentor business students at Seton Hall University and science and engineering students at the University of Melbourne in Australia. I'm also a longtime community volunteer. I've lived in Mendham Township for 29 years and have had the privilege of serving the residents of the township as a school board member for the last 6 years. I have the highest expectations for student achievement and a quality education for children in Mendham Township, an education that lays a solid foundation for students' academic, social, and emotional growth and promotes strong student outcomes for every student. I've devoted significant time, effort, and networking to enhance my knowledge, understanding, and skills to become a more effective school board member. The New Jersey School Boards Association has recognized me as a certified board member, a master board member, and a certified board leader. Working with my fellow board members in the school administration, I'm incredibly proud of our accomplishments. We developed fiscally responsible budgets, spearheaded a successful referendum that's resulting in significant enhancements to our schools' facilities, generated additional revenues from shared transportation services, helped navigate us through the pandemic, and above all, helped to provide our K-8 students with an educational experience of the highest quality in a warm, nurturing environment. Earlier this year, I'm particularly proud to have served as chair of the board's negotiations committee, successfully concluding a new 5-year employment contract with the teachers union, which will also allow staff and administration to focus on providing the best education for every student every day.
Thank you, Peter. And now, Adam, your opening statements, 2 minutes, and we can start when you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Adam Dubeck. I have been in the township since 2016. I'm a father of 2. My son just completed his K-8 education and is now a freshman at the high school. And my daughter has started her middle school journey this year. I'm also married to a middle school math teacher, not in district, however. I'm running for the election to the board. I'm finishing up my first term. As Peter said, we've done some great things, I think. We've delivered excellent academics at a cost-effective approach, and I want to keep doing that. I'd like to expand some of the things we've done. Essentially, our transportation department has generated over $700,000 of relief to our taxpayers. We want to continue to look at that. Our academics are strong. They've always been strong. We want to continue them to be strong. We also want to make sure that we educate a well-balanced student more than just academics. So I have a history of volunteering in the district. I was on our rec committee, helped oversee the revival of Ralston Playground. I was on the finance committee for the township before. And again, this is my first term that I'm finishing up as on the school board. I've attended almost 100% of our meetings, almost 100% of our committee meetings. I've attended the state convention, all three, well, 2 years, and I plan on attending it in a couple of weeks for this year. And just really excited to finish some of the things I've started in this first term. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. And now we'll finish it up with Natasha. Natasha, your 2-minute opening statement. Start whenever
Thank
you're
you,
ready.
Jen. Sure, thank you. My name is Natasha Crossan. I'd like to also thank the League of Women Voters and their co-sponsors for hosting this event tonight. I'm honored to be able to participate and provide access to the voters and information. From a professional perspective, I have a background studying economics at the University of Pennsylvania. I then went into a career in finance, working for an international equity investment management firm. I had the opportunity to study for my CFA and earned the CFA charter. That's a chartered financial analyst. I was a partner at the firm and headed up our investment communications division. On a personal note, in 2017, my husband and I moved to Mendham just a few weeks before our oldest child started kindergarten. And like many families, the primary reason we chose Mendham as we were looking around the area was because of the excellent school system. And we have been just thrilled to be able to participate over the last 7 years. We now have 3 kids in the district. We have a middle schooler and 2 elementary school kids. We've both been heavily involved within the community. I've kind of been looking around trying to figure out additional ways that I could be of service to the community. And I feel that as a school board member, I bring analytical chops and the perspective of a parent with kids in both schools in the district. So I hope that by the end of this evening, you'll feel very comfortable voting for me, number 3 on your ballot.
Thank you, Natasha, and thank you all candidates for your opening statements. We're now going to start with our questions. I'll be opening up in 4 major categories. First, about your background and reasons for seeking election. You've all shared a little bit about your background, but you'll have an opportunity to answer my questions a little more on that. Then we will get into the district's educational programming, followed by balancing fiscal priorities, and then wrapping up with closing out on your view of the role of the school board. So let's start with Spencer. You'll be answering this question first. And here's the question. Each of you have indicated a little bit about yourselves and why you are running for this board position. Now, please share with us what particular issues most motivate you to run for the Board of Election, and if elected, what will be your priorities? Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm running for school board because I deeply care about the future of our schools. Mendham Township is known for their fantastic schools, and keeping that going forward is very important to me, as I am a father with a daughter who will be going to the schools shortly. Some of the key issues I have are keeping politics out of K-8 education. I don't think any politics have any place within K-8 education, as well as ensuring that there is financial stewardship, with ensuring that financial decisions are being made in the best care for our students. Focusing on core education, reducing administrative costs, and possibly expanding current financial systems that the school district has, such as their school bus service, which, as Adam mentioned, has brought in over $700,000. Enhancing these will reduce the taxpayer burden and increase the education for our children.
Thank you, Spencer. Peter, same question.
Sure. I'm passionate about supporting student learning and supporting student success. Um, the fact that I spend quite a bit of time mentoring university students sort of speaks to that as well. I've been involved in the last 6 years because I think by working together in a collaborative way with all of the stakeholders, specifically, clearly the administration, but also parents and the community overall, to understand what the community aspirations and values are, will help us do even better than we're doing now. We've got high performing schools. The elementary school and the middle school are each national blue ribbon schools of excellence, but we can do even better. I'm a big believer in continuous improvement. I think we can do more. Ultimately, where every student is given the opportunity that is tailored to him or her to be successful in high school and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Adam, same question.
So what I'm passionate about is producing a really well-rounded student. I mean, our academics are great. They're very important. I want to continue to strive that those numbers continue as they are, if not go up more. But I also want to prepare students for the world around them. And one of my favorite examples of that is that we've done our morning meetings in our elementary school where students come in, and before they start their day and get into their academics and stuff, they talk about for a little bit what's going on in their lives and ease into the day. And it's been a real success. I really love programs like that. I want to explore more programs like that and bring them into our district, all at the same time, while still, as I said earlier, looking into and expanding other ways to create revenue and ease the taxpayer burden, but still producing excellent education all around for every student.
Thank you, Adam. Natasha, the last to answer this question.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with what Adam said. I was just at back to school night and listening to my son's first grade teacher talking about the morning meetings. I think that focusing on the whole child is so important. I think we've done an excellent job with academics, and I've been really heartened to see how the school district has embraced this idea of morning meetings and making sure that every child feels seen and included every day when they come into school. I don't have a major issue that is a bugaboo for me or anything like that. Mostly, I have just been really getting to know the district over the last 7 years, and I feel like I have a lot of context now. And as a parent who still has a child all the way down in first grade and many years to go, I feel like I have a lot to offer with that perspective.
Thank you, Natasha. So this next question comes directly from the voters, and I decided not to change any of the wording so you could hear exactly what they wanted to ask. And Natasha, you will get this question first. So this is not a league question. This is a question from your constituents, verbatim. The New Jersey School Ethics Act requires members to refuse to surrender their independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups. And that was in quotes. It started with, quote, that I'm going to restate it again. The New Jersey School Ethics Act requires members to, quote, refuse to surrender their independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups, end of quote. Question: how will you ensure that your decisions on the school board are not made according to political ideology or partisan politics? Natasha, you go first on this question.
Okay, that's an excellent question. I think that we all wear many hats. So we have our personal hats that we wear, we have our professional hats that we wear. And I think that when we are able to acknowledge the complexity of situations that we're dealing with and approach something with the nonpartisan hat of a school board member, that we are able to do just that and make sure that we're not allowing our own personal agendas to override the need for a school board member to follow the state guidelines of what the role of a board member is and be able to basically contribute to the efficient and productive functioning of the school board.
Thank you, Natasha. Adam, you get the same question next.
Yeah, well, I think it's somewhat easier when you just focus on the students and not any other outside voices that may be trying to sway you for their particular purposes. I will say this, that in my 3 years on the board at this point, there's obviously different members that have from different of political spectrum, as you could say, but at the end of the day, most of our votes are unanimous because we work through issues, talk things out, and find the common ground, which is at the end of the day the best thing for our students. So I would just continue to do that my next term on the board, if I'm so fortunate to have it, and those outside sources that the question asks about wouldn't really come into play.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Spencer, next to answer this question.
Absolutely. I'm relatively familiar with the NJ School Ethics Act. I think that maintaining that judgment, being independent, is not only really like a guideline, but it's more of a responsibility for every person who serves on a school board. I've said this before in many factions of my life. I think all decisions should be made based on logic, data, and facts, right? They shouldn't be based on emotional or political drives. And that's kind of one of the centerfolds of my entire campaign, is to prevent any sort of political bias being introduced to our schools, especially in K-8 students. So I think that means actively avoiding external pressures, right? Personal biases, and focusing on the growth of our students. I mean, collaboration is important, and that's what we should work on as school board members. If to be elected, that's how I would do it. But I just think putting the kids first and focusing on logical decision making is what's most important for being a school board member.
Thank you, Spencer. And Peter, you wrap up this line of questioning.
Sure. I guess I don't disagree with what any of my fellow candidates had to say. I think it's, education is complex, no doubt about that. But if you focus in on what's best for every student in your school district, it's actually a little bit easier. I've seen other school boards, not in Mendham Township, struggle with this. And I wonder, well, why don't we have this problem? I guess we're lucky in Mendham Township, but I think at least serving on the school board for the last 6 years, school board members truly respect each other. We might have different opinions on a particular issue or subject matter, but we work collaboratively in terms of solving a problem and coming up with consensus. And even if someone is on a different vote, is voting in a different sort of way, I've been very heartened to see how everyone's embraced the collective decision of the majority and move forward there.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Peter. So Peter was talking about the educational programs at the school and how that is a priority, which leads into our next question, which comes under the category of your educational programming. And Adam, you're going to be the first to answer this question. What issues do you believe your district needs to address in its academic programming? Include in your response what your school district could do better to prepare students as citizens and contributing members of the workforce.
Okay, we're taking it, as I said earlier, an approach of the entire student, right? I think we do a very good job of educating students at all different levels, our very strong students, students that need more help, and even our special ed students, which is an ever-growing population. It's a challenge economically as well as a challenge to meet their needs, but I believe our district is doing that. As far as where we need to focus more, well, I think we're doing that somewhat with our DEI education, and where we're introducing our students to other cultures and other populations they probably don't see in Mendham Township. So when they do go out in that workforce, at some point, whether it be New York City or somewhere else that's got a cornucopia of people, they'll be better able to relate, and that's an important aspect.
Thank you, Adam. Natasha, same question.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that again, I'm not coming in with a specific idea of something that I have felt was lacking within the educational program. I continue to be impressed as I've seen my daughter grow year over year and the way the curriculum builds on itself and the multi-layered approach that the school has taken in building the curriculum. So I rely really heavily on the administrators and the educators who are well versed in these, child development and curriculum development to be on the forefront of what is needed. I do really respect the diversity, equity, and inclusion policy that the board introduced to make sure that, as Adam said, our students are able to go out into the world and operate as a citizen of the world productively.
Thank you, Natasha. Peter, next to answer this question.
Sure. Curriculum is forever changing and forever being developed. There are standards from the state, the New Jersey Students Learning Standards, that change. And we base our curriculum based on those standards, and including getting significant input and direction and suggestions from the district administration, which is our first place that we go as a school board member to understand, what's most appropriate given their experience. But I'd say there's a couple of things going forward that I'd like to spend a bit more time on, and it really goes more into the area of a well-rounded student that Adam brought up a couple of times, and that's societal changes. And secondly, in terms of technological changes. So we clearly need to stay abreast of those things because, again, we have to prepare our students for life in the world beyond school. So I want to be on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Spencer, you'll finish up this line of questioning.
Yeah, sure. I think Mendham Township has, a great curriculum as it is, but it doesn't mean we can't do better, right? You have to meet the New Jersey curriculum guidelines and stick with them as much as you can. I think a key focus point that we should focus on is preparing students for the future rather than for preparing them for what we have now. And I think expanding on STEM and technological influences are very important for that. The whole student approach is great, but we should couple that with the future of what our students are going to be growing up and living in, rather than just what we're dealing with now. I think enhancing some leadership programs, getting them ready for high school and the challenges that high school account for is also very important. And I think we should lean on our subject matter experts in this case, our students, our students' parents, our students' teachers, right? The people who are with our students every day, especially professional educators. We should focus on their input.
Thank you, Spencer. So each of you talked about the student as an individual and focusing on that for the academics. I'm going to drill down and give you some specific areas that I'd like you to talk about. Peter, you're going to be first. Okay, so what is the role of the schools in teaching children about topics such as diversity, safety, sexual education, mental and emotional wellness, and bullying? You don't have to address all of them. Address whichever ones are most important to you, but touch on a few of these, please.
Sure. I think there's a role for the school and the school system in all of those. We're really fortunate in Mendham Township to have the support and cooperation of our school community. And I guess our concept has been, and I fully support this, that we work in a collaborative effort of parents, students, and educators. So all of those subjects can and are talked about at home, students with their parents. All of those subjects are approached in a grade appropriate manner in the classroom setting, and there's discussion around that. So I think there's a place for all of those things. And I think we do a good job in most, if not all of those things. Having said that, there's always going to be room for improvement in each of those areas, most notably because of the pandemic and because of aspects with regard to isolationism of students. we've seen some setback in that time period. And also as a result of social pressures.
Peter, I have to wrap you up. Just pick
Sure.
the, just which one of these, I have to let you wrap up. Just, is there one of these topics that you were saying and particularly?
Yeah, I'd say
the word out?
bullying. If I was to pick
Okay.
one, I'd say bullying.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't want to mean to cut you off, but
That's fine.
okay. Thank you, Peter. Natasha, the same question.
Okay, yes, this is a lot to cover in a 1 minute time frame. I think that, so we're talking about the role of the school as opposed to the school board in being able to make sure that students are able to be informed about diversity issues, safety, sex ed, and bullying. Did I cover it all? Are those all the topics?
Mental and emotional wellness.
Mental, yeah, okay. So that's a lot to cover. I think that I agree that the parents have a role in this and the schools have a role. I mean, these are all part of being a whole person and being able to deal in the world. I agree with Peter that bullying is huge and has an impact on kids. And I think that with the rise of the internet and social media, it's a really tricky world for parents to be navigating with their kids, particularly as they're getting into the middle school years. So I think that the way the school has handled it so far in providing sort of forums, oftentimes there are resources sent out to parents, and I think that's been an appropriate way to make information available.
Thank you, Natasha. Spencer, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, it's very important that schools provide a vital role in almost everything that was covered, especially student safety. With everything that's going on in the world, I think the safety of our children is first and foremost, whether that has to do with bullying, mental health, whatever issues they're dealing with, whether it be at school or at home, they should have a safe space to feel comfortable in their learning environment when it comes to school. I do think there's probably a line to what should be taught in schools. I don't think that politicized topics should be mentioned or discussed in K through 8. I think it should be age appropriate and balanced. I think parents' input and community input should be taken into account. And it's a tricky topic, it's a tricky situation. But schools should basically be there to help equip these children grow and to be able to navigate the complexities of the world.
Thank you, Spencer. And Adam, you can round out and finish up this line of questioning.
Thanks. All those topics are appropriate for school. There's no doubt about that. But the school has to act as a partnership with the parents. It's a team effort. Of those topics, the one or the two that I would focus most on was bullying, one, because unlike when a lot of us went to school, when school was over for the day, you were done. It's not like that anymore. It can follow you wherever you go with the computers and phones and internet and everything. So it's a tough topic that we've seen come across at the school board over the last couple of years, but it's one that our administration is on top of. And the other one is the mental health aspect, because when you have a better understanding of your feelings and you have maybe your child's feelings, again, with the partnership with the parents, it just sets up for more success. And that's what it's all about, is the success of the student. So I'm a big advocate of making mental health a big part of our academic experience in Mendham.
Thank you, Adam. I could tell that all of you want to talk a little bit more on this topic. So I'm going to get a little more specific and give you the opportunity. And Adam, you're going to go first. It's a little bit of a long question, so bear with me.
Okay.
What is your position on the extent and nature of parental involvement in school curriculum, the school library, and the safety and identity of all students? Specifically, do you think the school board has a role in limiting access to certain books or films, or do you believe that should be the decision of the school librarian or teachers?
Well, it's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, and everyone gets it equal time on it. And Adam, you go first. But I think it's relevant to what you were all just talking about, and it seemed like many of you were just touching on that, and so I thought I'd give you the opportunity to elaborate.
Yes, I mean, look, there's obviously some line in the sand of what should be in a K through 8 library, or a K through I should say 4 library, and a 5 through 8 library, and so on and so forth. But again, I think it's a partnership between the school board, mainly the administration and the parents, where we can get to a place where hopefully everyone is okay with it. But there are things that some parents are going to be okay with and the other parents aren't. In that instance, you shouldn't deny the parents and the students that want to learn more about these things maybe and have a deeper understanding of them by quote unquote banning things. I'm definitely not on the banning side of things in general. So again, it's something that has to be discussed, have input from all corners, and make the best decision you can. Obviously, someone or some people are always going to disagree, but it's the best you can do.
Thank you, Adam. Peter, next to answer this question.
Sure, similar answer to Adam here. At the end of the day, we're very much dependent on what our educators are recommending. We put together the curriculum based on some standards, and the educators recommend that curriculum, recommend resources, including books. I'm not a fan of banning books. I feel that their judgment in terms of what's appropriate, what's age appropriate for our K-8 students is a really good starting place. It's also important to publish that, make that readily available to all parents to know what is being taught to their kids in their grades. And then lastly, giving parents the opportunity to opt out is critically important for whatever reason. And certainly there's an opportunity to discuss that directly with the principal or the teachers. That's it.
Thank you, Peter. Spencer, next to answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter stole a little bit of my thunder there with the opting out. I definitely believe that parents should be able to opt out anything that their children are being taught in public schools, especially when a lot of those learning priorities are set by the state, which might not align with specific community values. I think that communication is key here. Parents should be informed. They should be engaged with their kids' learning experience. Right. I think, though, at the end of the day, what books are in the library, they should not be censored. You cannot censor books that bother either side of the party lines, if there are party lines. And I think that leaving it up to educational professionals is the best bet. Minimizing censorship is the most important part. You don't want to censor anything. And respecting parents' wishes with how their children are to be educated based on sensitive topics should be respected.
Thank you, Spencer. Natasha, to finish out this line of questioning.
Yeah, I agree with my my colleagues here on this call that it's really important that parents understand what is available and what's being covered. I've never had an issue with that whatsoever in Mendham Township. I've always felt incredibly well informed about what's being taught in the schools. And there's always open line of communication with the kids' teachers, with the principals, with the superintendent. Everybody's willing to engage in a conversation. And I think that as long as parents have the opportunity to opt out if they need to or want to, then that's okay. And nobody's personal preferences are going to infringe on anyone else's personal liberties. And I think that's important.
Thank you, Natasha. Based on the fact, I have another optional question in here that I'm going to include because it seems like that all of you really care and want to talk about the unique and special needs of your students. So I'm going to include this question in here, and that is, and I'm going to start with Peter. What are your thoughts on your school district programs for special education students, English language learners, gifted and talented students, students in the STEM program? Talk a little bit about your feelings on the district programs and the role of the school board in determining its role in this.
Well, again, there's a lot to bite off or chew off in this this short time period. There's, again, our model is the educators are the professionals, and they'll come forward with suggestions to us with regard to all of these groups. Let me just take the special needs or special education students. Incredibly, their talents are probably underutilized in the general education setting. And having special education students in a general education class with some support in terms of another paraprofessional in the room with the teacher has allowed general ed students to understand and see the value that every student can bring, regardless of their learning capabilities and how they express themselves. I love that. I'd like to continue to do that. That's what the real world is all about.
Thank you, Peter. Natasha, same question.
Yeah, this is a topic that I would be eager to learn more about, should I have the opportunity to serve on the board. My perception is that the school district does a fabulous job of being able to attend to the needs of individual students, whether they're special needs, gifted and talented program. My son had the opportunity to participate in a program that was piloted by the STEM teacher in the elementary school last year, and he came home so excited about it and got to present to the Board of Ed, which was a huge highlight for him. So I feel like I'm always impressed with seeing the different programs that come available each year. And I would look forward to learning more about what the school is doing in that regard.
Great. Thank you, Natasha. Adam, next to answer the question.
Sure. It's a very difficult challenge because we have students on various levels from, the top of what you're talking about to special education that needs a lot of assistance. But I really am proud of the administration and the job they do, um, serving, as their motto goes, every student, every day. I believe not only the administration, but our school board takes that motto very seriously. And one thing that I would say on that topic, again, that both the board and the administration share is always looking for new ways to improve that. Always get presentations on new theories or new studies that have come out, and presentations from our administrators on ways they think they can make things even better. So our board supports that. I support that. And I love that we have an administration that is focused on that as well.
Thank you, Adam. Spencer, to round out this questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all the groups of individuals that you mentioned really need to be treated as an individual and based on what their needs are, right? Whether they're gifted students, special needs students, STEM students. I mean, I have a personal connection growing up with special needs education. My mother was a special needs aide or a special needs aide for, I can't count how many years. So I know that individualized support is very important. I think the same is important for STEM or gifted students or ESL students. And there are new tools and there's new technology that are coming out rapidly, such as AI tools that can provide individualized services or advice to teachers on how to tackle these things. And I think looking forward, you're going to have to utilize technology to leverage data points to focus on the specific needs of students. And if you don't do this, the children in whatever school district we're in are going to be left behind. So let's build them up.
Thank you, Spencer. Really, I feel great about the breadth of topics that we were able to cover under educational. I know each one of them merits its own 20-minute discussion. So I appreciate you in a challenging way accomplishing talking about each of those as well as you could. We're now going to move over to fiscal priorities. Spencer, you're going to be answering the question first. How does a school board balance the need to provide a quality education with the need to respond to the local taxpayer burden? Spencer.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think balancing educational quality with fiscal responsibility is very important, especially in a community like Mendham Township. I think taxpayers here especially expect their money to be used very wisely. I would focus in cutting costs where we could without sacrificing the quality of education, and maybe negotiate better vendor contracts. We could look at energy efficiency studies. I have a background in energy, grant funding as well. I remember I worked at the Morristown Airport, and there's tons of federal grants out there for all different things. Yeah, you have to be mindful of the taxpayer, keep small class sizes, and cut where you can while still ensuring that the education is great.
Thank you, Spencer. Adam, same question.
Yeah, so obviously that is what the school board gets paid the big bucks for. Not that we get paid anything, but that is the main one of the main topics is balancing the need to give great education without overburdening the taxpayer. And we've done some of that, and we're continuing to do it. And with our transportation department expansion, we have shared services contracts that we just started with the township. That's going to reduce some of our costs, and we actually already have a solar study going on for both of our buildings. So it's just to stay on top of looking for new ways to create revenue, looking for ways to cut costs without sacrificing even in the least bit the quality of education we provide our students. That's why a lot of people come to Mendham. That's why I would say most people buy a home in Mendham is because of our schools. So that's something that we don't want to obviously deteriorate at all, but at the same time, balance that with the taxpayer burden.
Thank you, Adam. Natasha, same question.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Adam and Spencer. This is a big challenge and a big focus for the school board. I think that our school board has been incredibly creative and innovative in the ways that they have sought additional revenue through the shared services that Adam mentioned. I also really respect the transparency that the school board and the superintendent, the administration have offered to the public. So I think that allows taxpayers to be engaged and feel like they really do understand the value that their tax dollars are getting for the district. So I don't think there's a lot of mystery around what the money is going toward, and the reputation speaks for itself and hopefully makes everyone in the community feel really good about the fact that our public schools are really the heart of the community and that the school board is doing its job.
Thank you, Natasha. Peter, to round out this question.
Yeah, it's an ever-present challenge. Every single year there's an annual budget. We, over the last number of years, have sought additional ways to grow revenues. We've heard about transportation. There's tuition from paying students that want to come into our district. There are other opportunities in terms of shared services as well. One of the things that we've done that we've asked the administration to do every single year is present with us not just their recommendation as one recommendation, but a couple of options or three options that might have a different sort of funding balance in terms of what we can do, things that are still necessary, and some of them might be nice to have instead of need to have. So I think that going forward, we want to continue to do that. And then lastly, I'll say, the biggest driver, the biggest ticket is our salaries and benefits. So I was very pleased that we've been able
Peter,
to.
I got to stop you. So you hit the salaries and at least you hit what the topic was. So, okay. So we are now going to ask one last question as it relates to the budget. And Natasha, you'll be the first to answer this one. And the question is, how would you determine your budget priorities? Identify the areas that you would insist on keeping, and those areas that if you had to make some budget cuts would be the ones that you would cut. Give us a sense of where your highest priority is, and if something had to be cut, where would it be cut? Natasha first.
Okay, happy to answer that, although I do want to say that I would very much be leaning on understanding what the administration is recommending in reviewing the budget. Of course, teacher pay and making sure that our teachers are able to be compensated fairly and appropriately and in accordance with their contracts would be a top priority. It's really tough to think of where we would cut. I don't have a specific item in mind that I'm sort of eyeing with a red pen. so I don't know if I have a satisfactory response to that part of the question, but I think that again, I would be looking to the administration and hearing what they have to say and understanding, they have a strong reputation for being able to find ways to save money where we can, and looking to support them and make sure that we're meeting all of our state guidelines and mandates as we're providing an education fairly and equitably to all students.
Thank you, Natasha. Adam, same question.
I think you just got to find a way. I mean, I don't want you to think that's me avoiding the question, but I don't want to cut anything that for our students. I want them to have a full experience of school here in the township. And as Natasha said, our administration's very good at coming up with ways, they predicting issues. One of our biggest challenges is healthcare costs. But you need to pay good individuals and quality teachers to have quality education. So that's obviously not an area where we want to cut. Nor do we want to cut other, you know, things on the outskirts, arts or field trips or anything like that. That all goes into the grand scheme of an education. So, again, I think we would work through it. We would find a way. In my 3 years that we've been on the board, we always have, and I would be confident that we would do it in the future.
Thank you, Adam. Spencer, same question.
Thank you. Absolutely. In terms of budget priorities, you have to focus on the student first. Like everyone has said, most people move to Mendham in order to have the stellar schools, right? If forced to make cuts, I would say keeping quality teachers, special education, STEM programs, everything that kind of has that most direct impact on students should come first. In my life, I also have always said I think it's easier to generate additional revenue, whether that's through shared services, additional grants, et cetera, than it is to cut services, right? So maybe we can expand on that before you would have to cut on services. If my hand was forced and you had to cut things due to some sort of budget deficit, I would look to use possibly technology to relieve the administrative burden and reduce costs there while still providing all of the services to the students.
Thank you, Spencer. Peter, round out, last one to answer this question.
Sure, and I'll be brief this time. I'm not a big believer in cutting. The costs are, for most things, fixed. There are certainly some questions that we can ask. Can we wait on this for another year or 2 years? So that would be a critical area. But I think the focus has to be, where can we get additional revenues? So shared services is one, whether it's transportation, whether it's doing things with another school district by doing a program together, that's another area. Whether it's getting grants from the feds, whether it's utilizing our parent-teacher organization even more than what we do now, and the Mendham Township Education Foundation, which has just been reinvigorated for some larger ticket items that we can't afford to fund but are necessary longer term. So those are some areas. Generate more revenues.
Thank you, Peter. So before we go to our final section, which is the role of the school board, based on a lot of things that you talked about, we opened the door for this very difficult but important topic. So Spencer, you're going to be answering this question first. We read a lot about the pervasive mental health problems, including but not limited to anxiety, drug overdoses, and suicide among American students, especially students in affluent areas. Are you aware of significant mental health issues in the Mendham Township schools? And if so, what would you propose to attack the problems, and what do you think they're already doing that you think are successful?
That's a long question right there.
Yep.
I definitely think addressing mental health issues is extremely important for our school systems. Compared to other communities, I think Mendham Township overall is doing a very good job in addressing, mental health issues, drug use, overdoses. You don't hear a tremendous amount about overdoses in Mendham Township. While they happen from time to time, I think focusing on early intervention by kind of providing these students with resources to deal with any issues that they might be going on, whether it's with school, whether it's with bullying, whether it's at home, is important. Because just because it's a K-8 school board that we're running for here, it doesn't mean that some children don't start dealing with really bad issues very early in life. So I think schools should work closely with parents. Teachers should have special training, which I'm sure most of them do, about focusing on what the warning signs are, and just make sure that there is community support both inside and outside of the school for these children.
Thank you, Spencer. Natasha, same question.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the word that jumps out to me and that's most relevant to our district would be anxiety, and knowing how rigorous the academic standards are, particularly within the middle school. I think that at the elementary level, we do an excellent job of building the basis, the foundation for having kids feel like school is a place that they can come and be seen and be heard, and slowly building the curriculum up to a point that they can tolerate the workload that is existing in the middle school. I think this school, pretty much every year that I can recall, we've gotten some sort of notification about whether it's a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting, something where there is an expert who's a resource for parents who can talk about managing anxiety, looking for warning signs with respect to suicide, things like that, just letting parents know that there are resources available to them. And it really provides a forum for parents to be able to talk to each other about it as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Peter, same question.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly support what Natasha said just now. I think providing forums and opportunities for parents to know more about this is critical. But student health and student wellness is important, and it is a priority. And it's currently a priority in our K-8 school district. We're providing training to educators on how to effectively teach and model sort of social and emotional learning skills such as self-awareness and self-management, and social awareness and relationship skills and responsible decision-making. So because those are critical elements. We have high expectations for our students. Parents have high expectations for their kids. And as a result of that, we need to help kids even more. And that's a priority for us.
Thank you, Peter. Adam, last one to answer this round of questions.
Sure. No one has perfect mental health. Adult, child, it just doesn't exist. So it's obviously a degree of what someone's dealing with. But our district has done a great job and is continuing to expand on that. I mentioned earlier our morning meeting. It's shown with great success when we've talked to students about it. It really calms them into the workday. And the expansion of our through our referendum, we've opened up a bigger guidance area where students can go if they're having some issues and can talk to a professional there to help them through what they're dealing with. Our social emotional learning is we're always looking for new ways and going to seminars. Peter mentioned training for our teachers. So it's another area where especially myself, as well as the administration and the rest of the board, seem very focused on improving for our students.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Adam. Peter, you're going to be the one to answer the next question. And now we're going to get into a little bit of the role of Board of Ed. Peter first. And this is a two-part question, a couple different elements, and you can talk about the one that you feel the strongest about, most compelled to talk about. What is a school board member's role and responsibility? Does a board member's role differ from the role of a superintendent or administration? What attributes or behaviors are essential for school board members? So
all right,
that, Peter.
Sure, a bunch of things there. No, the school board member is not the same as a superintendent. And a school board member is part of a team. And the board, basically, our job as a board is to ensure that the district is well run. And the administration, the staff run the school or schools. So we just ensure that it's well run. So How can we best do that? As an individual board member, ask questions. As an individual board member, listen. As an individual board member, be open to other ideas and perspectives that are perhaps not things that you're familiar with or agree with, and just listen to that. And at the end of the day, if you focus in on what's best for every student, you can come to a consensus agreement with the board on what is a course forward that we would recommend as a board to the administration.
Thank you. Natasha, same question.
Okay, well, as Peter said, no, the school board members are not the administration, and there's a very distinct difference in roles there, as the administration is responsible for running the schools, and the school board is not responsible for day-to-day operation, but rather sort of the 30,000-foot view and setting policies, budget oversight, making sure that the school is, hitting all goals and objectives as expected. In terms of attributes, I agree with Peter that being inquisitive is very important, being curious, and realizing that no one person has the single answer for every single thing. So being willing to hear out your school board members, hear from the administration about things you don't know about, and being able to collaborate productively with the rest of the school board to come to a decision that you can all stand behind, I think is really important.
Thank you, Natasha. Adam, same question.
Well, I could just combine their two answers and say I'm done, but I'll say that, as well as I'll add to the fact that when we got certified as a school board by the state, and the additional training they did, one of the main focus areas was the difference between the administration role and the school board role. And as has been said, the administration runs the day-to-day. We're an oversight committee of the board. But again, pay attention, see what's going on, get the reports from the administration, analyze them, ask questions. And our administration is excellent about answering those questions, and listen to the suggestions and make counter suggestions. At the end of the day, the board together can come to an agreement that the administration also supports. So that's the role of the board.
And thank you, Adam. Spencer, you finish up this round of questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very similar to the way most businesses are run, right? Like your superintendent is your CEO, responsible for the day-to-day activities. They're more focused on, I guess in this case, they'd be more focused on the micro, whereas the school board is more focused on the macro level, long-term goals for the district, long-term budgeting, et cetera. But it's important to combine both of those, the micro and the macro, to make sure that you have a collaborative working plan. Managing staff, that's on the superintendent. That should not be part of the school board's day-to-day activities. Vision and big pictures for the school board. Superintendent handles details, execution, and you have to be aligned in both of those in order to achieve success. If you're out of whack on either one of those, it's not going to be a cohesive environment. So just working in conjunction is what I think is important there.
Thank you, Spencer. Okay, this is a long question, but again, this is one where you can pick, it's all related, and you can pick the part of it that you want to address. I'm going to go through the whole thing, and if you need me to repeat it, I will. What is the best way to address differences of opinion on the board or between the board and the administration? And could you support a board decision that you did not vote in favor of? Now, I know a lot of you somewhat talked about this topic, so it gives you a little more chance to talk about it, but then I'm going to introduce another part to it if you want to just address this. How can a school board know if its goals are being accomplished and its policies are being implemented? And further, how can the board best communicate with its constituent groups and doing PR for the board to let the community know what they're doing? So it's a combination of talking about the differences that board members may have and how to handle that. How do you know if you're really accomplishing the policies and that they're being implemented? And then how do you communicate it to your constituents? So you can take any of these elements that are all intertwined and pick and talk about the part that you want to talk about. Spencer, you first. I'm sorry, Spencer, I didn't tell you before you were going to go first, did I?
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
That is a very
You can pick
long question.
It was, but you can pick the part that really connects with you. But they're all related, and talk about as much of it or as little as you want. And Timer, you can wait to start Spencer's response now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about differences in conflict management. Um, I have a lot of history in studying conflict management. I have a degree in ethical leadership, like I've mentioned before. I used to supervise 20 union folk in New York City doing subsurface construction for a few years as a 22, 23-year-old. So we've had our fair share of conflicts there. And at the end of the day, regardless of what anyone's title or position are, I think it's important to have a strong battle of ideas where people can openly and collaboratively share their diverse perspectives. I think it's very important to kind of use data-driven research and evidence-based reasoning on all of this, rely on logic. And at the end of the day, whatever decision is being made should ultimately be made with our students in mind. So using collaboration, diversity of opinions and thoughts is very important, and that's how you should reach your end goal.
Thank you, Spencer. Adam, next to answer the question.
Sure. I think I mentioned earlier that, most of our votes in the school board are unanimous. And the reason is because we do collaborate, we go through the topics, and we find a common ground where most of us can agree on. Now, are there people voting yes that are super gung-ho, and there are people voting yes that are like, okay, sure. But we get to a point where it's acceptable to everyone. And again, it's with the focus of what's best for the students. So I know you had a long question. I forget pretty much the second half of it, but
well, you could talk about how to promote and do PR to let the community know the way you're accomplishing.
Sure, we do that. We have presentations by our principals, our assistant principals that are all open to the public, that are all streamed online. The documents are on our website. We actually have a PR firm that we hire to get news out, but that's how we gauge where we're at with some of the goals that we've set. And those goals are stated flat out, and then we come back a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, and analyze those. So the information is there.
Great, thank you, Adam. Peter?
Yeah, not too different from Adam. As board members, having an open, respectful discussion about the topic, being able to listen to another voice, and then coming to an agreement and coming to a vote. Whatever that vote is, in my experience over the last 6 years, everyone, including those who didn't vote yes for whatever the subject matter was supportive of the board decision. So the board decided to go that direction, and everyone embraced that. With regard to the goals, clearly they need to be stated. Clearly they need to be communicated to the public. That has to be readily found on the website and other places. Yes, we can use our PR firm to broaden that, but we need also to monitor those goals on a regular basis. So engaging the community in terms of what we're doing on every subject, making it simple for the community, whomever it may be, a parent or otherwise, to know what we're doing and how we're tracking on that is critical.
Great. Thank you. And Natasha, last on this line of questioning.
Okay, well, when it comes to the goals and making sure that we're hitting the goals that are intended and reporting, my sense and my understanding is that there is a process in place for that. So I would trust that that is going to happen. And then on the topic of differing opinions, it's really hearkening back to my experience at the international equity firm that I worked at, where the tagline that the way we used to describe our investment process was collaboration without consensus. And in the study of behavioral economics, you can sort of see that actually it's better if through coming to a decision, you do have differing opinions and you don't have consensus in the beginning, because it allows you to really explore what the different issues are. And at the end, everyone comes out with a better understanding of why you chose what you chose, even if they didn't agree from the beginning. They're going to be well-versed in being able to answer questions about it, and naysayers who are coming out they'll have all the answers to those discussion points, because that was part of the process in the beginning anyway. So I think that that would be highly relevant.
Thank you, Natasha. This is your last question for the night, and it's one that's in the media now and school districts around the country are grappling with. And so I'm going to start off with you, Adam, and it's all around the topic of safety and cell phone use. So I have a few questions that are all around that. Do you think the current policies about the student's cell phone use is sufficient to ensure their safety? And there's multiple elements of the safety, both what they're finding on the cell phone and also with active shooter and those types of things. So there's safety on both elements. You can address either or both of those. And then also their learning, how it impacts their learning. So some schools are forbidding students, some schools around the country are forbidding students from bringing their cell phones. And it's all in the news as to what schools are going to do. Do you believe, what is your position on the policy? And do you believe that it's a policy that the school board makes, or is it some other element of the schools that make this on safety and cell phone use? Adam.
Sure. So it is again a little bit of a balancing act, because there's the safety at school, but there's also the parents wanting to have communication with their children. Gosh forbid something did happen. So, I would not support a total ban of a cell phone. But again, I don't think that's necessarily a board thing to determine. I would think that the administration would say these are some of the issues that are going on, analyze those issues. I'm sure there's been research done on those issues and make a recommended policy based on that. They're experts in that field. So if they brought that to the board's attention and the board, analyzed it and approved it, so be it. But I think that's really more on the administration for what they're dealing with day to day, because that's not the board. It's the administration that deals with the day-to-day aspects of the both the plus and the negatives of cell phone use.
Thank you, Adam. Spencer, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I'll caveat a little bit off of what Adam said. I don't necessarily think that the school board should be that involved with the micro policies of decision making. My opinion on it is that I think students should be allowed to carry cell phones. I remember growing up, for example, we did have some cell phones in school. We didn't really have too many iPhones, but we were allowed to carry them with us. We just couldn't use them during class. We had to pay attention. And if you got caught, they took away your phone till the end of class or maybe the end of the day. And I think just using something like common sense sort of deterrence to having kids not use their cell phones during the day. And I can't imagine too many kids in K through 8 are going to be having cell phones in kindergarten. But there should definitely be breaks from technology overall. Kids need to reset. They need to get out of the screen. They need to learn, with their peers cohesively.
Thank you, Spencer. Natasha, same question.
Thank you. I definitely agree that this is an area that the board would need to be looking to the administration and the educators to be making the ultimate decision in, because they're the ones who are feeling the effects on the day-to-day. As a parent of a middle school student, and even with elementary school students who are constantly begging for cell phones, as are all their peers, I would say I don't think that kids should be carrying cell phones around in school, and I respect the policy that the middle school has in place that cell phones are meant to stay in lockers unless there's some sort of medical need or other extenuating circumstance. Because I think there's a lot of evidence now. We have enough history with cell phones. There's enough evidence about the anxiety that can be produced. The gentleman named Jonathan Haidt wrote a book called The Anxious Generation, that I think we have enough information to show that kids really do, as do adults, need a break from cell phones. And we need to be starting to set those habits early on in life.
Sorry. Thank you, Natasha. And now, Peter, you're going to wrap up this and our questions, and then we'll be going to closing comments. Peter.
Sure. Luckily, we don't have this as an issue in our district. We don't have a policy on it. However, the administration has in place for middle school students the request / it's under our code of conduct that there's no cell phone use in the classroom. Why? Because it is felt to be a distraction. And especially with social media being pervasive 24/7, it's even more of a distraction. So I don't believe there's a need to have a specific policy from the board perspective, especially since we do have a working practice in place that is driven by the administration.
Thank you, Peter. What I just want to say before we get into the closing comments, and what I really like is that these topics were full, robust topics. And although many of you agreed, you picked different elements of them to share your perspectives, and they were all important elements. So I really appreciate that you took the time to do that and really think thoughtfully about the questions. So I appreciate that. So with that, we're now going to our closing statements, and we'll be doing them in reverse order. So Natasha will be going first, followed by Adam, then Peter, then Spencer. You will have 2 minutes for your closing comments, and there will be a sign shown for 30 seconds warning when you have 30 seconds left before the 2 minutes, and then the stop sign. So with that, Natasha, time for your closing comments.
Okay, thank you once again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. It's been an honor and a privilege to be able to participate. I hope that anyone who's viewing it feels that they have an understanding that I am an effective communicator. I have the analytical chops to be able to be an asset on the school board. And I'm thoughtful and eager to learn. And I look forward to hopefully being able to be a part of the board. And anyone who's interested in more information can feel free to visit my website. It's natashacrossan.com. And I'll just say again that I'll be number 3 on the ballot. Thank you. You're still muted, Joan.
Sorry, I know your closing comments are so important. I don't want to have anything in the background disturbing. So thank you, Natasha. And now, Adam, for your closing comments.
Thank you. And thank you to the league and my fellow candidates here for participating. When in the opening statements, I think I was the only one I didn't mention my background. So I am an attorney. I attended the University of Maryland for undergrad, go Terps, and Rutgers School of Law. And I bring that up more because of why I have a passion for education. I'm the type of guy that I'm a self-made guy, came from pretty much nothing, single parent household, and I truly believe that education can open any door for anyone. So I'm passionate about it, and it's one of the reasons why, like I said previously, our family moved to Mendham for the great educational opportunities here, and why I decided to run for the board a couple of years ago to ensure that every student every day, as our motto goes, has that chance to make a difference in the world through their to start with their education here in Mendham and to go wherever the world takes them. So it's a passion of mine, and I would love to continue some of the things that we have started over these last 3 years, and to amplify them and to expand them, and to keep doing what we're doing on the things that we're good at, and do better on the things that we could be better at. So in the end of the day, I would appreciate your support. I'm number 1 on the ballot. And I have a website on Facebook. It's Dubeck for Mendham. Feel free to check it out. Ask me any questions you have. And again, thank you for having me tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Peter, next with your closing statements.
Sure. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters in the Morris area for hosting this forum, and the forum's co-sponsors as well. I hope attendees have found or will find this event informative. And you also found that all 4 candidates are seriously worthy of a seat on the school board. I've had the privilege of serving the residents of Mendham Township as a Board of Education member for the last 6 years. I'm immensely proud of helping to provide K-8 students of Mendham Township with a comprehensive educational experience of the highest quality in a fiscally responsible manner. The residents of the township can also be proud that our elementary and middle schools are each recognized as a National Blue Ribbon School of Excellence. And what's more, our schools can be even better, even better. I believe I've been an influential school board member, partly because of my commitment to professional development, my networking and sharing of best practices with other New Jersey school board members, and also my service to help advance public school K-12 education throughout Morris County in my role on the executive committee of the Morris County School Boards Association. If I have the honor of being reelected for a third term, I will commit to working collaboratively with my fellow board members and the school administration to drive continued improvement in the quality of our children's education. An education that fosters an enthusiasm for learning so every student can be the best version of themselves, develop to their full potential and be successful in high school and beyond. I'm passionate about supporting student learning and student success. I hope to continue to serve on the school board to benefit my community. I ask for your vote on November 5th. I am on the ballot in the number 2 position, and I'm running under the slogan, dedication, leadership, experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Spencer, you finish off our night with closing statements. Spencer.
Sounds great. Thank you again for having us here tonight. I enjoyed being here. It was fun to hear everyone's perspectives. My closing statements, I think Mendham Township Schools are just an incredible source of pride for our community. Been delivering top tier academic results and preparing students for great futures for many years, achieving, a Blue Ribbon Award years and years ago. However, I might echo what some others have said. I think even the best schools have room to improve, and I believe there are opportunities for us to do that. I think we can strengthen our academic programs, particularly by expanding STEM and leadership programs, right? Expanding the gifted programs as well. And we can prepare students for future challenges that aren't here yet, especially with this technological boom that we're experiencing for, the second or third time in our lifetimes, just a whole new technological boom with more challenges facing our students every day. Ensuring fiscal responsibility and doing all that remains one of my priorities, making sure that every dollar spent directly benefits our students or their experience in school, making sure that they are strong and emotionally sound leaders for the future. This success also depends on the people in our school, especially our teachers. I would advocate for strong support for our teachers. Turnover within teachers in the United States has reached a historic high, and I think supporting them is very, very important. My daughter will be entering the school district next year. I'm a lifelong learner. I have a deep personal connection to the future of our schools. I want to see my daughter and everyone else's children succeed. I'm number 4 on the ballot, so vote for me if you want to ensure that the schools remain a source of pride for the community. And my website or Facebook, my website is spencerrayflores.com, and you can find me on Facebook just by searching my name. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I want to close out this evening by, one, thanking you for the opportunity to be your moderator tonight. It was a sheer delight for me. And before we go, and I cough, I'd like to thank the candidates, not only for their participation this evening, but in really sharing their views on the issues that are important to all of you, and for us to get a chance to get to know you. I really think that you shared enough about each of you that the voters really got a sense of who you are, what's important to you, the role you'll play on the board. We also want to thank, of course, our host, Zach, and the co-sponsors, Angelica Allen McMillan from Delta Sigma Beta Sorority, and Pat Robinson from the Jersey Hills Media Group for the Observer Tribune for their assistance in making this evening possible. Finally, we want to thank the all-important audience who's been joining us virtually. We suggest that you tell your friends and neighbors and others not only to watch this video to get a sense of who the board members are, but remind them with a big shout out the importance of voting, and that if they want their voices heard, then they have a choice to pick board members who represent their views and who will fight for them every day. So don't forget to vote, and don't forget to remind your family and friends of the importance of voting. And with that, I want to say a good night on behalf of the League of Women Voters, and thank you to our candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you.